All right, welcome back, everybody. It's like not one, but this is my second one in a month. It's putting in that work. Today we got Mr. Fadi on. Fadi, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. You hustling. You hustling. I like it.
Dude, man, yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I'm not. No, it's my week off, so I was like, might as well go ahead and put some extra work in on podcasting and whatever else I need to do. So, well, no, we'll go ahead and put that work in. You know,
Yeah, man.
so
No, that sounds awesome. Thank you very much for having me on. It's excited.
man, dude, like I said, anytime I can get some cool information about some uncommon stuff, I'm all about it. You know, today is one of those things. You know, you talking about some mountain horn dragons. Like people know of them, but they don't know about them, right? They know they seen them all over, magazines and everything like that. But I don't even know anybody that's actually kept them. You know, I've seen like maybe besides you, like maybe one other person that was like really trying, but I think they actually gave up. Uh, but I mean, like I said, they're a cool species that no one really, looks at as a pet. So want to kind of dive into some of that and like before I actually get to that, so you were just out in Florida, right?
I was. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was. I was
yeah.
there for a
You was
work
with the
trip,
okay. I was wondering. I'm like,
and
oh, what's he out there for? I was like, oh, he out there with Chucky the Mad Bio. Like, what's going
yeah,
on here?
yeah. Well, I got lucky. I went up for the AZA conference that was in Tampa, and that was a
Okay.
week. And then my boss was like, "Hey, if you're able to kind of stay around an extra week and visit some of the because we work in the zoo, aquarium, museum, botanical garden industry. So I was like, if you can drive around, go speak to some of them in person, that would be awesome." And I was like, "You're saying I get to spend an extra week in Florida? Yeah, I'm in."
Right.
So yeah, man, I got down there. I hit up Chucky. I actually saw all the boys from the Reptiles with podcast. So I saw Chucky, I saw Yoshi, I
Nice.
saw Eric. But me and Chucky went out herping, and it
Hmm.
was one of the coolest experiences I've gotten to do in the reptile hobby yet. Like, man, I mean, first of all, I don't know how it is where you are, but I could go months without seeing a reptile here, other than like in my basement. Whereas
Okay.
like dude, I'm filling gas at a gas station. There's a red-headed agama sitting right there. I'm driving. There's an iguana crossing the street. I'm like just getting out of the car. There's a nightingale on a tree sitting in the parking lot. Like it's crazy down there. But yeah, me and Chucky went out herping. We saw some cool species. And I got to handle my first venomous snake. Safely handle my
Nice.
first
Nice.
venomous
Yeah.
snake, which is awesome.
What
So we
you
saw some
what were you handling?
cottonmouths. So I think they call them water moccasins or whatever.
Oh, okay. That kind of okay.
Dude, it was so for also first time trying road cruising for reptiles because we can't do that here. So he was like, "Yeah, we'll just get in the car, drive around, and when you see something, tell me and we'll pull over." And man, I'm driving and be like, "There's something. Nope, that's just a stick. There's something. Nope, that's just a stick." And he's catching them like maybe like stick insect, toad, whatever. He's catching them while he's getting in the car, and suddenly he just like parks, gets out, and starts running. And it's like pitch dark outside, so all I see is like the flashlight going back and forth. And yeah, man, he was finding the coolest things. He like ran out. There was another car coming, like basically jumped in front of this car with the hook and grabbed the cottonmouth, got it out of the way, and he's just like trying his best to save these snakes from getting
Man.
run over. Because sadly, we did see quite a few that were run over.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, incredible experience. I highly recommend. I mean, yeah, I think all of us reptile keepers love herping, but like really getting to do it kind of almost like re-sparked the joy and the passion and the love for
Yeah.
reptiles, man. Like I was just so like adrenaline rush, like
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah. 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 Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, well, like, yeah, that the whole Florida thing, like, man, that's like the mecca of just so much variety in reptiles, right? I mean, for me, is I got a whole lot of arid stuff out here. Tons of rattlesnakes. I mean, there's Gila monsters. I mean, what have I found? Like, I don't really go herping a whole lot. Like, if I find something when I'm out in nature, cool. I don't really go out of my way to try to find stuff. Like, I found like those what do they call them? Like the horned lizards. Look like
yeah, yeah.
little look like a little nugget of weed. That's what it looked like. Like I almost stepped on this thing. My kid's like, "Dad, what is that?" I'm like, "Shit, that was a rock."
Yeah,
Here, picked
that
it up. It's
small.
like, yeah, yeah. Well, this one was like little. Like I have fit that thing in the palm of my hand. It wasn't even bigger than the palm of my hand, dude.
That's
And
crazy.
it didn't want to move. And I mean, and this was up north, so it's a lot colder up north. So that might have something to do with it. But it was like, I mean, it was in the afternoon when I found him. It was just chilling on the road or on this trail. We were just walking around. I was like, oh shit, what's no? Grab that. He's like, Dad, can we take it home? I was like, no, no.
Yeah,
I mean, I know what their diet was is, and I'm like, I'm not about that because like they
yeah,
eat ants,
ants, right?
and
Yeah, yeah. Those are the ones that will spray blood out of their eyes when they're threatened.
yeah, 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 yeah,
That's a cool
and
species,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I mean, I would love one, but I'm not finna breed ants and have an ant colony, and they get out of the whatever they're in, and then have ants all over the house. No, no.
No, not a
My
fan.
girlfriend will kick me out the house.
Yeah. It's the fastest way out.
Yeah, I'll be single real quick.
A solution.
Right.
If I ever need a way out, now I have it.
All right. I mean, she didn't even know I had some roaches up here for a hot second. So, like, my buddy
That's
gave me some
hilarious.
roaches. He's like, hey, take these because I had these those dumpy tree frogs, and
Okay,
he's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
they love them. And I totally forgot I had them in a bin up here. Those things were up there for like 3 months. I was like,
And they were fine.
yeah, they were living. I was like, damn. What I threw like a couple oranges in there real quick, let them eat that, threw some carrots, throw some other veggies, boom, let them eat all that stuff, boom. Then I just fed them off real quick. So she is like, oh, there's nothing here no more. Evidence is gone.
What roaches are you talking about? There's no roaches here.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. That's just an empty bin. I'm going to clean it out. Don't worry about it later. So,
Yeah, yeah. That's hilarious.
man. All right.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we are here today. We're going to talk about some mountain horn dragons. What's the Latin on these?
So the genus is Acansora. And
Okay.
then obviously there's a bunch of, I think there's 14 described species, and I think only about five, maybe six of them are in captivity.
Okay. And which ones do you deal with?
So I've kept four species over the past like 5, 6 years. I currently only have Acansora capra, which is what I would say is like the what people imagine when you say mountain horn dragons. That
Hmm.
is the capra. It's the green one. They got the horns. They're not too big. So yeah, so that's the one that was the first one I got, and it's still the one I work with to this day because I love
Okay.
them. They're awesome. And I also
Yeah.
have Akansora armata. And so I have one baby from them, and that was from a previous group. And then my current group, I have two males and a female, unfortunately. And then so in the past, I've also worked with Akansora nataliae, which is the big ones, the red orange heads, the flashy ones, and
Yeah.
the lepidogasters, which are the dwarf mountain horn dragon, which are still very common. And actually, responsible reptile here in Canada is breeding them pretty frequently. So there's like quite a few captive bred babies available now, and it's kind of as
Nice.
opposed to all of the other species where most of it is still wild caught. I
Yeah.
would say the lepidogaster and even Natalie to a certain extent, responsible reptile in Toronto and Beauregard reptiles in Montreal are working with those species, and so there is quite a few captive babies now available as opposed to the other species, which is great because they are an awesome species, but they don't do that well wild caught.
Okay. Oh, yeah. A lot of things they don't do
Yeah,
well, but you got to start off somewhere.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
I'm looking in the background. Which one is that in the background? Yeah.
that one. That is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Natalia.
Okay. All
I
right.
can probably bring it closer.
Yeah.
Does that help? There we go. So that's
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Natalia. So that's actually, I just mentioned responsible reptile. It's actually one of his males.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful species. They're very cool. They are, I think, the biggest species of mountain horn dragon.
Okay. And so, all right.
Without
So,
dropping it.
yeah, for real. Got it.
Kind of. Here, hold on. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Okay, anyway, yes.
You're all good. Okay. So, all right. So, kind of what are their environmental conditions like? Where do they come from in the wild? Like,
Yeah.
what part of
Yeah.
the world do they come from right now?
Yeah, so they're from East Asia. So like I don't yeah, I think that's the right like geographical area. So they come from Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand. Each there are some locale crossovers, but in general, you'll find like the Capras in Thailand and the Natalias in I'm not sure exactly where, maybe Vietnam, and then The armatas come from Indonesia and whatever, but there are some crossover. And in general, that area, and they come from, like almost cloud forest like conditions. So they like it humid, but they don't like it too hot. So they do prefer it a bit on the cooler end for a reptile. They live in always by streams and rivers and moving water. So that's one big thing, and I'm sure we'll get into this later on, but they don't recognize standing water and always need moving water. And then they're also just more comfortable around water because it is their, uh, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's their escape.
Okay,
Winter
yeah,
comes, they'll just drop in the water, kind of get carried down the river, or pull up a little bit further down and hop out. And I also find that you know, I would say a lot of the time they actually go to the bathroom in the water as well. So they depend very heavily on the water, and they depend very heavily on humidity. And I think that's probably, I'm just crashing all these topics into one, but I think
no,
that's
no,
probably one of the biggest reasons they don't do well as wild caught is they probably come in super dehydrated, and people
yeah,
struggle to hydrate them. Yeah, so to answer your question, dense canopy, lots of trees, running
yeah,
water, higher humidity, and they do need warmth in captivity. Like room temperature is probably not warm enough for them, so give them a basking spot. But like,
okay,
their basking spot, the hottest point in their cage is probably like 85, and they don't spend a lot of time there. They use all the cage, and they will move around. They will go to the cooler side. They will bask a little bit, although like I can't remember the last time I've seen any of my cappers basking. So, give them the heat as an option, but they don't need it like, an arid species does, or something that needs it a lot warmer.
yeah, yeah. Have you dealt with many wild caughts of the genus?
Tons.
Okay, all
Unfortunately,
right.
yeah. When
So,
I first started getting into the species, so I was my first group. I was lucky enough to get, I guess somebody imported the wild caught animal, and she was gravid, and she laid the eggs and died. And so the babies were born in captivity from a wild caught mother, and they were incredible. I had them since they were like less than a month old, raised them myself. They'll jump on me when I come up to the enclosure. They'll eat whatever I give them. They're incredible. But I've also since then, trying to grow my collection of them, trying to breed them, trying to do all these things. I had to purchase quite a few
yeah,
wild caught animals over the years, and I have lost quite a few of them as well, like right off the bat. So it was
man,
a
that's
lot of
rough.
like, you know, uh, I don't want to say trial and error because I don't think I did anything different between the ones that I lost and the ones that survived. I think they just didn't acclimate to captivity as well, some of the
Okay,
other ones. Yeah.
gotcha. How are you hydrating them? Because like you said, you were like you don't think people might not hydrate them enough for them to kind of bounce back from that long
Yeah.
journey they had, right? So what were you doing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And so at first, we already know that they need running water. And so obviously the first thing
Hmm.
is, put them in an enclosure with running water, make sure you're misting them frequently, all those things. But we actually realized very quickly, when I say we, is me and the other couple of people that were keeping mountain horn dragons, we'd kind of be talking back and
Yeah.
forth and, oh, try this. And anyway, so we very quickly realized that almost I would call it like a rain chamber setup
Okay.
every so often is actually really beneficial for them. So I didn't change the enclosure or anything like that, but luckily I had a drain on it, and so I was able to take the misting from, a 30-second misting to once a week I would give them like a 10-15 minute mister. So like I would just leave the misting system
Yeah.
on and just let them, and you could see their behavior too when it like rains, they'll start itching themselves like their dogs. I need to find a video of this and post it. I tell people this all the time and nobody believes me. They use their back legs and like itch themselves like their dogs, and then they'll get in the substrate on their bellies and kind of flop their hands back and start wriggling in the mud. And I don't know what any of those behaviors are, but they only do them when it's raining, and they look like happy behaviors. So I can only assume, but they look like I'm
Yeah,
happy
maybe
to
it's
be
just
around
natural behaviors, right?
Exactly.
things that
Yes.
they used to do in the wild, like when it rains real hard on them, they're like, okay, now it's time to go do whatever we got to do. You know, maybe it's
Exactly.
just
Yeah. And
they could be flicking some scales off, like some dried up scales or something. Might be rubbing their belly on the ground to get the stuff off them or whatever. You know, it's a whole lot.
that's
There'd be tons of stuff. But
that's probably exactly
long
what all
story.
those things are. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that, I mean, that's real interesting though. Like seeing those behavior, because I did want to kind of get into that. Like, wild caught behavior versus captive behavior. How are they different?
So the behaviors I just described to you, I've seen in both wild-caught animals and in
Hmm.
captive animals. So from whatever those behaviors are, they're instinctive behaviors that come out when it's raining, and they'll all do it. They'll even like, they'll find where because I have a lot of them set up in paludariums, so they'll run to the water and they'll duck their heads and they'll come up and they'll almost like try to swim when it's raining a little bit too. And there's a lot of really cool behaviors that happens as once you give them that long misting, and I was doing it pretty
Hmm.
frequently. But there are behaviors that I have noticed that I've only seen in captive bred ones, and they're, I guess, like the right way to say it is they're like personality. Like I don't know how to phrase it, but they're the captive bred ones are
They're more
more
confident.
confident. They're more
Okay.
likely to, like the three that I was originally talking about. They, without kidding, and I used to be the person to be like, hey, don't treat them like, don't act like they're something more than a reptile. That sounded so bad. What I'm trying to say is like, don't, I guess the word is like anthropomorphize them or whatever the
I know the word. I'm just not going to try to say it either. But
right.
don't treat them like they're your dog. No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was all for that, but really it's the captive bred ones, or at least the captive hatched ones that I've raised since I was a baby, are very puppy-like. They know their names. They see me and they get excited. There's a different preference on giving them hornworms versus giving them superworms. You can almost see like the excitement of, oh, it's a hornworm this time, we're getting a treat, or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
and obviously all of these traits are absent in the wild caught ones. And it's probably just simply like you said, starting off right, like you said, it's probably just the confidence. They're probably
Hmm.
terrified, and they spend most of their time hiding or puffing up so that you don't come near them or whatever. Whereas like once they're confident, you really do start to see those behaviors come out. Otherwise, all the other behaviors are very similar. They're great eaters for the most part. There does seem to be like a bit of like appetite dip once a year for some species. Others will eat year round, and yeah, they're like it seems to be a pretty steady between wild caught and captive bred. Other than the confidence, I like the that you use
Okay.
confidence, so I'm gonna go with that.
Well, I just think no, and you can see with geckos as well. Like the smaller the animal, the less they're not as confident as like the bigger gecko, right? Like a
For sure.
toke, confident as all hell. He will defend his territory, compared to like what do I got over here? That like my Cerdodactylus. They
Yeah,
see me and out.
they're
Like
gone.
they want
Yeah.
no part of me. Like I'm using my quickness and I'm out. I don't want to deal with you. No, I'm not confident and like I can. If you catch me, I'm not confident enough that I can get away. Like my bite won't do anything. But it's okay. He's like, nah, step over here if you want to.
Try this bite.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna know when that hand goes back, it's gonna be bleeding. So,
Right.
just
Yeah,
remember that. So it's like, okay, yeah. No, so I mean, different level of confidence. I mean, and there's probably different levels of intelligence that comes with that as well.
for sure.
You know, yeah. So, kind of, I'm guessing you probably have like quarantine setups versus like what the regular setups are, or are
Sort
they
of.
kind of the same?
They're set up very similar.
Okay.
For quarantine, I think the big difference is I won't build a paludarium for something that I'm not sure will do well long term, because obviously paludariums are a lot of work. And so like a full on paludarium setup with a waterfall and all of that stuff, I don't do right off the bat. So I think the biggest difference with the quarantine setup is that their running water is a big water bowl, like fairly big, like big enough for them to actually fully submerge themselves in,
Hmm.
and just an air stone to keep the water bubbling. instead of like a waterfall mechanism. So it still
Yeah.
needs to be, I think they still need to hear the sound of the water. They still need it to be,
You just need to see it moving,
moving,
right?
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'm not gonna go through pulling up all the waterfall. Otherwise, the tank is set up the same. Lots of sticks because they do not spend unless they're hunting or in the water. They will never spend time on the ground. They are always lounging up in the branches. Which is another cool thing about them, by the way. They like once they're in their setup and I've left them alone, they're not hiders. Like they are full on display almost
Okay.
all the time. They're sitting right up front. They look like they're just chilling on like a wood in the jungle, and yeah, very cool.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, because I know I got because what is it? I got that Exoterra Pro incubator, and it has that
Yeah,
little spout, that little humidity spout. I mean, that would be something that you could probably use with that stuff because it blows the water and everything. You could submerge it
100%.
down and keep the water moving and stuff like that. But no, the air stones are. I mean, that's a great idea as well.
Yeah.
So with the so with your captive ones, right? So you said you're building them a paludarium. How big is this thing for?
So my biggest one for a pair, I had a trio in it, but now it's just a pair. What is a 36 18 36 Exoterra?
Okay.
That's not true. I have a trio in a greenhouse setup. So it's like a not a greenhouse, a grow tent. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
I was like,
yeah.
oh,
So that
what? Damn,
yeah,
that
yeah,
shit's
yeah. I wish
huge.
I had a greenhouse. Yeah, yeah. I wish. I'm not actually sure how like the dimensions of it, but it's
Yeah,
taller
grow
than
tents are
me.
pretty big. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's pretty big. I don't love it because there's no like clear side of it, so it's like completely sealed. So once, unless it's open, I don't see them. And the opening, the actual unzipping of the grow tent scares them away. So that is
right.
something I'm going to switch out of very, very soon. But for my biggest paludarium is the 36 18 36 Exoterra. And I assume you're asking this for like sizing of like enclosures. So I should mention that that's very specifically the
Yeah,
capras
which
or the
species?
armadas that are,
Yeah,
yeah, they're around the same size, whereas like if you had lepidogasters, which are significantly smaller, you could probably fit like I want like maybe four in a 36 18 36
like a
pretty
1.3.
easily, I would say.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like a 1.3. I actually, and don't do this unless like do this on your own risk or whatever, but I have actually kept males together for extended periods of time, and I've never seen any bullying. Granted, I didn't know they were males when I first put them together, and then eventually like but they stayed together for a long time, no problem. And I've had this happen with several species multiple times, and there does not seem to be any bullying between any of them at all. Like between males and females, between males and males, there doesn't seem to be any bullying. Yeah, the Natalie, because they're the biggest ones, I probably wouldn't do more than a pair in a 36 18 36. And honestly, if you can go bigger, definitely go bigger.
How
The
big do they
Capras are
get?
not they're not too, I want to say like 14 inches. I could be very off on that. I'm just throwing a number, but they're not because I think the Capras and the Armadas get to around like 10.
Okay.
So they've
And is
got
that
probably
mostly
like
tail
four.
or
Oh yeah, mostly tail for sure. Their bodies aren't very big at all. Like I think the Capras maybe like four-ish, 5 inches, and the rest of it is tail, which I guess sounds like a pretty even 50-50 split. But yeah, most of it is tail for sure.
nice? Oh, so like I said, you do the whole paloderm. How much of you of that enclosure are you uh going towards water? Like how much of the capacity are you having is water compared to everything else?
Yeah, so it depends on the enclosure, obviously.
Hmm.
I have a 18 18 36 where half the bottom is water.
Okay.
So like, one side is land, one side is water. For the 36 18 36, the waterfall starts on one side and then the water moves all the way to the other side and drains there. So there's like a small piece of land in the middle. So I would say over 50% of the floor is water. But I've also done it the other way where, I'd say like 70, 75% of the floor surface area is actually substrate and the rest is water. And really, all you need is enough for them to completely submerge themselves because they will try to like kind of swim. I think that's all you really need. That being said, I've seen the complete opposite, and I have seen quite a few setups, very nice looking setups where the entire bottom is water and they have the only land they have are the branches and the trees and all of that stuff, and they seem to be doing really well in that too.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I mean, we're a little bit later on, we're actually gonna get to some because that like trying to figure out where they drop their eggs at, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Oh,
that's a good question. Actually, I don't know if I have an answer for you that's a good question. I wonder if that person maybe had um
like a potted
like
plant or something in there, like a
yeah,
hanging
potted
plant.
plant. It was the whole background was planted, so there might have been somewhere for them
Okay,
to do that there, or they just weren't considering breeding. But
that
that's
could be
it's
it too.
exactly why I always like give them a land section because if they do want to drop eggs, it's easier to do when there's actually soil.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm like, hold on, that whole ground's all water. Like, where are they dropping these eggs at? But I mean, no, they could have just hung up a plant or hung up a pot full of soil, and they just go in there, dig it, boom, drop their eggs, good to go.
Yeah.
So with the whole paludarium with the water, right? Are you doing like a filtration system or anything like? Because you said they like to defecate in there anyway. So are you putting something there so you get all that poop out?
Yeah.
So you're not
And let me
constantly changing water.
Yeah, well, I do both, but let me say I love it. I love watching them. I love the paludariums. I love the species. It is so much work, man. Like having the one paludarium compared to everything else, like just the one, not all the other paludariums, just that one paludarium takes more work to maintain than all of my other tanks combined. It's crazy. You have, the poop in the water. You have the algae buildup. You have algae builds up on the glass. You have
Man,
like all these things like just it just makes it a lot more work for sure. And of course, you got to do water changes, but if you're gone for an extra week and you don't do the water change, then the water level drops down. Like it's just yeah, it's a headache.
yeah,
But
man.
so they are filtered. So
Okay,
specifically my big one, I have a Fluval FX2, I think is the filter. Like it's a proper canister filter on it. There's a outtake with a sponge on it. And then to add to that as well, I've actually like planted the planted the aquarium portion of it, and I have guppies in there. And
okay. I was just gonna ask, of like, do you throw fish in there for them? Do they
yeah,
try to get those fish, or are they
I
just
have
constantly
tried
just
very hard. So I've tong fed them fish, and they've taken them off tongs.
okay?
But and I have seen them almost like kind of side eye and looking down the water and watching the fish, but I've never actually caught them um, catching one. But the fish are great because the fish eat the poop. And
Yeah, there
there's
you
a couple
go.
of like red cherry shrimp in there. They'll break down the poop too, and there is a
Yeah, a bunch of
filtration.
bottom
And
feeders, right?
which exactly. But that being said, when I do see pieces of poop floating around or whatever, I will pull them out just to kind of reduce the load on the actual system. But if I don't see them, I'm not too worried because they almost act like the springtails and the isopods in the dirt. They eat the poop, they
Yeah.
break it down, and then they poop, and their poop fertilizes the plants and the whole thing. So yeah, I do have I think every single one of the paludariums are filtered, whether it's a canister filter on the big one, or I have one of those hang on the back filters on one of the other ones, and I have a sponge filter in one of the other ones. So they're all filtered. That's just the most filtered one that's also planted in also aquarium. I will throw in there. I haven't seen anything like this myself, or I haven't tried it or whatever, but there has been some talk of the mountain horn dragons actually eating some of the guppies and getting sick from the guppies or something like that, but I haven't experienced anything like that myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you throw plants in the actual paludarium part, or just on the?
So in two right now I have three proper paludariums set up. I had more, and then I have a couple that are like just aquariums with filters in them or like bubblers or whatever. But um, the two smaller ones, they're not planted. There's just like Java moss kind of like floating around in there or like tied to a branch or something. The big one is fully planted. So there's
Okay.
I mean, I can't remember. Dwarf Val. That's what the plant is called. Dwarf Vallisneria. Vallisneria. I'm not great with plant names, but so the aquarium portion is fully planted with this like dwarf grass almost looking plant. And then I have some Anubias on like glued to rocks and some Buse, and it's fully planted both under the water and over the water.
So lighting, right? Now, so you already said they get like a little heat spot, right? Now, what wattage are you using for that? And then also, are you using any kind of like, are you using LEDs or in UVB?
Yeah, all of them. So wattage really depends on how close or how, obviously how close or how far the bulb is from the basking spot. But the hot or the strongest bulb that I've had to use for one of their setups is 75 watts. I've never had to go over 75 watts for them. And I don't know. I
Is that just because how tall it was to reach
Yes.
to a certain length?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
exactly. And even that, like it's on one of those Exoterra lamp hooks,
okay, yeah,
and
yeah,
I had to like kind of adjust it to the perfect height to get
yeah,
the basking spot on the temperature I wanted. Everything else is probably like 50, and I have some smaller setups with the 25 tiny ones on
yeah.
them, but they burn out really, really quick. So I try to avoid using
Really?
those and just,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, and maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I just found that the very small ones burn out very quickly. So I'm
So you
using
talking about like the
higher
screw
wattage ones.
ones or
Yeah, screw
the
ones.
little
Yeah.
prong one? Okay, yeah, because I
No,
use
I
the
haven't
little like the little G9 ones, the little
two
prongs.
prongs.
Yeah, yeah, I use those on pretty much almost everything I have here. Like nothing really gets much more than. Well, I mean, this one gets like a 40 watt. That's my Ciliaris. So they're desert, they arid, they need a lot, especially like breeding female males. They need a little bit more
Yeah.
hotter. But like, uh, let's see, my Blaze Daclus and my Zabracus, I got them on like 25 watt. Um, I think they are Exoterra ones, little screwing bowls, but most of them are just like those little ones. And I mean, they last. I haven't had to switch out any for like 3 years.
Okay, I might ask you to send me pictures of those afterwards because I'm like switching bulbs out over here like crazy. I mean, I must be doing something wrong. Maybe I'm placing them wrong, or
Well,
they're getting hit with
the
water.
like the screw-in ones, I've noticed that they go out quicker. Like,
Okay, yeah,
yeah, it's not just you; they go out quicker for some reason.
okay.
And then sometimes, like even because I don't know if they get so hot that that metal part will just stay in there after you undo it. A lot of that
I've had that.
happens. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
It
yes.
doesn't matter what kind of bulb it is or who's it from. It happens to all of them.
Okay, good to
Yeah,
know. Good to know.
that's why I
Yeah,
always use those small little two prong ones because they haven't burned out on me or stopped working or anything. So I mean
yeah,
they're
yeah,
pretty
yeah. That
legit,
makes sense.
and you can get them super cheap on Amazon.
Cool. Yeah, I've never tried those. I might have to look into doing that because I would like to lower the wattage I'm using, especially because I'll give it in temperatures, not in wattage, because that I
Hmm.
guess like that's what I'm trying to achieve, but I'm doing it with higher wattage bulbs and kind of moving them further away. But I try to keep the basking spot or the hot spot around 85 and then
Okay.
make sure they have a very good gradient, like even down to 72, I would say, like have a spot that's quite colder than the 85 that's at the basking spot for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I definitely do
yeah.
that as
And then yeah,
well.
so
Oh, I say like I said, my eyes are breakers because they come from Thailand, and so I gave them a little basking little platform. So I got like cork going right up to, and it's probably like maybe that far away from the light. So right there is like
okay.
in the 90s. So they'll go right there real quick, boom, and then they go all the way down to the ground where it's in the 70s. So definitely, yeah, that whole like you said, finding that balance and that or
Gradient.
yeah, all those gradients, making sure they have that gradient because everything needs to thermoregulate in some way, some form, and it's just a matter of figuring out what the correct gradient or what the correct thermoregulation for that species is. Like, yeah, no, it can't be 110 degrees when they're from the cloud forest. It could be 80 degrees that warms them up, where they need to be, and then they go about their day. Others like I said, like my Ciliaris, they'll bake under like 115 and will chill there for a while and then boom. be about their day, you know, and then just she'll cook for a little while in the morning, and then she'll move over to UV after that, just to get her
For
UV
that.
in, and then after that, then she kind of does whatever the hell she wants to do. So you said you use like grow lights as well, or LEDs for the plants?
Yeah, yeah, and just to kind of touch on or follow up on what you just said, that's 100% true because I have it up there for them at 85, but I barely ever see them using it, and I think they usually will sit at around like 78 to 80. Like that seems to be the range they actually spend more time in than
Yeah.
the
Okay.
85 hotspot. But yeah, I use so I use grow lights for the plants obviously, and I don't use any specific like brand. Like I've used Sunblasters and I've used a couple of different brands, but now I just use like generic grow lights off Amazon, and they seem to work great.
I got this. I don't even know if it's generic, but it was a because this thing is like I got two 3 foot LEDs for like I think it was like 40, $50, and I don't even know, but it comes like in like one package is two of them, and you got connectors and everything like that. But
Yeah, yeah,
man,
yeah.
my plants, boom, just go through the roof. Like, well, at least my rattlesnake plant does. Oh, that thing
Yeah,
just keeps growing and growing. And that thing ain't stopping. It's almost touching. It's literally. I got it in a was it like a 24 18 or some shit like that, and it's
right.
damn near first got it. It was only like 5 inches. That thing is about to start touching the roof of that enclosure. I've
That's
had it
that's
for like
hilarious.
yeah. I just did that enclosure this year, so I was like shit.
They're that good, man. Yeah, it's funny because I started sorry
Yeah.
I started by using it for a couple of enclosures, and then I liked the
Hmm.
light so much, and I liked like the temperature of light or the color of the light so much that I
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
bought a bunch more and I stuck them to the ceiling. So now the whole reptile room is lit up with
yeah.
those grow lights for the plants.
Nice,
Like they're
nice.
they're they're awesome. But yeah, I use a couple of them, especially in the paludarium, because you just mentioned it there too. The height away from the plants makes a big difference.
Hmm.
And obviously I'll try to plant like the plants that like the higher light closer to the top, and but I'm not very good with plants. In general, it's a guessing
Oh,
game and
neither am
hoping
I.
it works
Trust
out.
me.
Yeah, yeah. That's the trial and error. I'll put this here. If it starts to die, I'll move it, or whatever. But the biggest like struggle is getting the plants in the water section of the paludarium lit, because that's 36 inches from the top.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was the bigger struggle of getting them to actually, start to grow. So for that one, I put the Terra Sky from Exo on it, and
Okay.
it seemed to help. But it's the Terra Sky and two of those LED bars from Amazon. Everything else I just have lit with those Amazon LED bars. And then I am using UVB, but I'm using a very like so almost what I would say is like kind of that's right. Sorry, I was trying to remember the name of the product. I use the Shade Dweller, the
For
7%,
the
I think it
arcade.
is. The
Yeah, yeah,
Arcadia
yeah.
Shade Dweller on a lot of the tanks. The Paludarium was an Exoterra build specifically, so I do have Exoterra UVBs on the Paludarium, but I'll keep them, lower UVB. I keep it in the basking area. I don't put some people will say there's this whole like of should the UVB cover the entire top of the enclosure? Should it cover just the basking spot or whatever? Specifically for the mountain horn dragons, I'll try to do the UVB over the basking spot. Like they have to choose to go bask under the UVB or not. It's not constantly basking them because based on research, they come from like very dense canopies, and I don't assume that a lot of light is getting down to where they are.
Yeah, yeah.
And I haven't really seen them use it. Like there's UVB on all the enclosures, and they don't seem to be really like they spend more of their time kind of lounging under a leaf or in the water than they do basking under the heat lamps or the UVB or yeah, they just seem to spend
Okay.
more time on the lower side away from the heat, away from the bright lights, kind of hiding in the leaves or in the water or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? All right. So let's kind of get into like this the breeding stuff. Like, was it a challenge for you? like trying to figure all this stuff out? Like
It's
how
still a
did that go?
challenge.
It's
It's
still a,
still a challenge.
he's like it's still a challenge. I don't even
It's
know
still a
shit.
challenge. I've been very unsuccessful. So I've bred. I can't even like. I don't even know if I can take credit for this or not. Like I've one successful clutch and one baby from that clutch survived, and that was 2 years ago. And then since then, it's just been struggle, 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 nothing, nothing, nothing. And unfortunately, I've had quite a few gravid females die on me. And I've even
Oh
like
wow.
this is this is a little disturbing for some people, but like once they've died, I've even cut them open and pulled out the eggs and tried to save the eggs and incubated those eggs, and none of them survived. But a little bit of good news to kind of like counter all that. I do have a what looks like a fertile, healthy clutch right now. So my fingers are crossed.
Nice.
Uh, Hopefully it goes well. But yeah, man, they're a struggle. A lot of females come in gravid on the wild caught imports.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I try to grab as many of those as possible. And I don't know what it is, if it's the stress of the import, if it's the dehydration, if it's they're too young to be gravid, if like there's so many factors
Yeah.
that
I mean,
can play a role.
yeah.
And so none of the wild caught gravid females that I've ever gotten have survived or laid eggs, or they'll drop the eggs in the water. Funny enough, like there's land, there's place for them to lay the eggs, but they'll drop them in the water, and they don't seem to do well. And again, there's so many factors and that could play into it that we don't really know what it is.
Hmm.
Another one I did, like I said, they could be too young, but are they locking with the females in the wild, or are they locking with the females in the pet stores when they land, when they get all put into one enclosure? Or how long are they gravid for? Are they maybe like almost ready to lay and then get picked up and thrown in boxes where there's no substrate for them to lay their eggs in, and now they're egg bound? Or
Yeah.
another thing that we've been kind of toying with the idea of recently is, are we just giving them the wrong diet, and maybe there's not enough calcium in the diet for the females to lay the eggs, or maybe they're whatever it
Are
is.
they hard shelled? Are the eggs
They are
hard
not
shelled?
not no, they're
What
not.
would you
They're
compare them to?
soft when they're born. They're soft when they're laid, and they kind of, yeah, they're not hard shelled. No.
Okay. So
Yeah.
do they, or do they get kind of hard over time, or they just stay soft through the whole process?
Yeah, yeah, they stay soft through the whole process and they kind of swell. I was just trying to think of like, I was
Like
comparing
maybe
them to
like a
things.
crested
I
gecko
think
egg or something, or like a
they're
lychee
very
egg.
similar to a crested gecko egg and or lychee egg,
Okay.
or they're more that than like the Pictus gecko eggs or the Stenodactylus eggs that actually are
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
shelled, that you feel like you can crack if you hold them too hard. They're not
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Have you played with like seasonal changes?
A little bit. Yes, in terms of like I'll increase the amount of misting, like I'll increase
Hmm.
humidity for a couple of months of the year, or I'll dry it out a little more for a couple of months of the year, and haven't really seen any difference. That being said, they almost on their own, certain species will not completely put themselves to into brumation, but they'll slow down, they'll eat less. If they're eating 8 crickets a meal, like, and that's just a number I'm throwing out there, they'll move to like 2, 3 crickets for a couple of months, and they spend more time sleeping and less
Yeah.
time active. So they almost give themselves that seasonal change,
Adapt.
but like with our experimentation, it didn't really see, or at least personally, it didn't seem to make a difference with the egg laying. Um, uh, Yal and JF, so the Mountain Horn Dragon Gang I was talking about earlier, like the ones I kind of shoot
Yeah. Yeah.
ideas back and forth with. See, I think, and I might get this wrong, but I think they did see a correlation in increased misting to
Hmm.
the males more likely getting excited to start breeding and kind of bobbing their head and trying to court the females. I haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was bringing that up because, like you said, they come. Some of them come from like Thailand and all these other places, right? Where they have where their winter is just a dry season, right? So
Right.
it's less humid, less plants are less abundant. Everything's kind of dry and dying out, waiting for that
Less
new
bub.
growth to happen once it starts raining again, right? I kind of do
Yes.
that. I'm doing that with like my Zabrakas because they come from Thailand. So I was, you know, before breeding season even started, dried them out. Didn't I sprayed them only maybe a few times a week, just to get some kind of hydration in there, and then just spraying the plants a little bit so they wouldn't die on me. But breeding, once it started warming up, I was hitting them with long misting sessions. Um, and I mean, I got eggs. I mean, actually, I actually got three babies from them this
That's
season.
awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so and I do that with a lot of species. Like who else? Oh, like my chihuahuas. Same thing. I during the breeding season they get heavier mist, heavier feeds. And then once breeding season's done, you know, primarily that's when I'll like, okay, here's your little gecko diet, because I know you're not going to chase crickets, because they're like, we see it, but I'm not going to use the energy to go and chase this cricket down. So that's why I put the gecko diet in. I'll probably spray their enclosure like twice a week, and it just depends on like if it looks kind of wet in there. I'm not going to even spray it, because I have them like in PVC enclosures, so it tends to stay wetter in there a lot longer. Yeah, so just if it looks dry, I'll quick go real quick, just so there's a little bit of water on the walls and they can lick it up. But other than that, no, they kind of go dormant. I play with my light cycles as well. Like, so once it gets to winter time, it's like complete opposite, where it's only like maybe 6 hours on and then like 18 hours off type of stuff. Like just playing with all kinds of different things to bring them down. And then this year I had to bring them up quicker because it got warm real quick. Like January, it started getting to the 80s. I'm like, holy shit. And they could feel it too, because I saw like my male, one of my females just like going at him. Like, what the fuck is going on? Y'all supposed to be, no, lights ain't even like, nothing's
Go
happening
back to
right now. Why
sleep.
are y'all doing it? Yeah, go. I'm not ready for this. But yeah, you know. So, but then I was like, all right, then start adjusting all my times and everything. And next you know, it's baby factory again. Like, man,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
my incubator's been on since like January. I'm like, damn.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Nothing better
Oh
than that
well,
baby season, man. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun.
dude, man, I was like, God damn, why is it taking me like 2.5 hours to feed? I'm like, oh shit, I got all these babies.
Yeah, I got 100 babies. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
like
funny. I've
yeah.
noticed all those things with other species, but
Hmm.
not with them. So I will do like, the I will play with the lights and drop down the amount of hours that they're lit for like the collared lizards or the pictus geckos or stuff like that. But I won't do it, or yeah, I don't do it for the mountain horn dragons, and I think mostly just because they don't seem to have interest in, I'm sure they have their their circadian rhythm. They are realizing that the lights are on or the lights are off. And actually I noticed they won't eat until like the lights have been on for 3 4 hours. Like
Oh, okay.
they gotta wake up, they gotta move around, they gotta warm up before they take food. But they don't seem to care whether the lights are on for 12 hours or 16 or 5. Like as long as they wake up, they kind of move around, they eat, and then they're going back to sleep anyway. So they don't, yeah.
They live in the
They're an
life.
active lizard, but they're super lazy too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, most reptiles are pretty, pretty, not lazy, but they're pretty sedate. They just chill.
Right.
That's their life. There's like chill, grab some food, let me go chill again. Am I hungry? Nah, I'm good. It is what it is.
I'm
I
jealous,
was
man.
like, right, can I live like this? Don't have to pay no rent. I was like, shit, I'm paying all their rent right here. Shit, they need to start kicking
I know,
in,
if only they could work a little bit harder and help pay the rent.
right? Yeah, stay still for this picture. You got to make me some money real quick.
Yeah. That's funny.
So when you got those first hatchlings that were like a month old, right? How are you setting them up?
Yeah, so completely different than how I'm setting them up now, actually. And I should say they weren't. I was looking for mountain horn dragons for,
Hmm.
I want to say, like almost a year before those babies popped up, and they were very, very hard to find. And then, just luckily an import had come in and they had those babies, and I jumped on it as soon as I could. But I was setting, I remember this. I could probably pull up some pictures or something because this was like 6-ish years ago, but maybe a little bit more than that. I put them in a 10-gallon enclosure, and I put so kind of the same concept but on a smaller scale. So I put them in a 10-gallon enclosure, top opening, so I had the screen on top,
Hmm.
and a bunch of fake plants, well, a bunch of sticks, well densely planted with fake stuff. so they have the opportunity to hide, to climb around, all of that. And then I had a giant water bowl in the middle, and I had I think it's Fluckers or Flukers. I think that's the brand that makes them. They're a little jar, like uh, like a mason jar, but plastic. I can't remember
Mhm.
the right wording to use, and they have a little like funnel on the end of it, and
Okay.
you fill it with water, and you can adjust the speed that it drips out.
Oh,
And
okay.
I
Yeah,
think they're
yeah,
made
yeah. I
for
know.
chameleon.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so
Like
I
a little
had
drip
that.
system.
A little drip system, but it's like completely manual to where like I had to fill it every 2 days, like go back in there, empty it, open it, fill it up, close it. And so I had that sitting on the screen top on top of the water bowl. So it would just drip into the water bowl like constantly. And then I would still miss them, several times a day. And I don't even think they were on the misting at that time. I think I was like hand misting them. And I did not put any heat on them until they were like 6, maybe 7 months old. I just had just like a little LED to light up the enclosure.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
What like what is their diet like really consist of? Well, for you.
Bugs. So they're strictly insectivores. I've tried to feed them
Okay.
a whole bunch of other things. There's been some talk of like, oh, they'll eat fish, and I did say they did take fish off tongs, but it didn't really seem like convenient. And I've tried them in like little bowls. They wouldn't
Was it
take
like
them. They're
live fish
obviously
or you just like little fillets?
yeah, no, like I grabbed a guppy on tongue. Felt like a murderer, man. It was hilarious, but and guppy was still like flopping around and yeah, but they took it. They took it, but they wouldn't take it out of a small bowl. They wouldn't take him out of the water. And then I heard some people say, I feed mine bananas and I feed mine watermelons, and I've
Oh
tried
wow.
all of that, and they will not take any of it. Like even and actually it's funny because I don't know how many other species of reptiles do this, but I don't think any of mine do other than the mountain horn dragons. They will like give you a bit of attitude when you feed them something you don't like. So first they're standing there and they're like giving you the side eye and they're kind of checking it out, and then they'll close that eye that's facing you like, no, I'm not interested. And if you keep trying to like force it, like, no, no, try it, just try it, or like, you start dabbing it on their lips or whatever, they'll actually like shake their head and like move out like, I ain't having none of this, bro. um so that's another very interesting behavior they have. It's very cool. Like they will actively tell you, I don't like this food, like try something
That's
else,
crazy.
and you can pull out something else like 2 minutes later, and they'll try it. That being said, their diet mostly, for me at least, consists of like crickets, superworms, hornworms when I get my hands on them, silkworms. Hornworms, they go crazy. Specifically the capras, I don't know why, but they go crazy for the hornworms.
Really.
All of that being said, there has been like, again, like talking with the mountain horn dragon guys and like just trying to figure out what the right thing is. Something has come up, and I'm trying to remember whether this was like in a paper or in a video from someone from Thailand, but supposedly their diet in the wild is actually spiders and slugs and things like that, not things we're feeding them. And obviously, I wish I could get
Mhm.
my hands on like spiders and mantises and slugs to feed them, but it's just not feasible. But I do wonder if, maybe they would live longer or lay better eggs or whatever if they were getting
Yeah. Well,
those diet
I mean, you could
options.
probably do like snails, right? No,
I
because like
would
you
love
said,
to try it.
yeah. I mean, I was thinking like maybe because like you said, they're always by like banks of water or like streams of water,
Yeah,
right? So maybe there's some crustaceans in there too. They might be grab some just for that calcium, right?
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there could be something with that. I know like Europlatids, they love snails. Like the females will eat snails because of the calcium with them. So
Live
that could be
snails or frozen snails?
live.
Okay. And
Yeah,
what kind of
yeah.
snails how would you,
Well, that's the part.
I'm
Well,
trying
you
to,
would have to source some good, like ones that don't have all the parasites and all that stuff. Like people
yeah,
that raise snails. I'd probably talk to somebody over there that maybe raises snails, really nice small ones with like really light shells, so they could just chomp that thing down. Like I said, like Euryplatus females, they take snails without hesitation. Like my buddy Anthony, he breeds snails and he feeds a lot of his reptile snails. Like I said, that shell right there is great calcium for them. So that could be something
yeah.
else that could maybe be able to help with that. I say like I mean, like you said, like mantis or even stick bugs. stick bugs might be something that might entice them. I'm not sure who's all out in Canada that breeds those crazy bugs. I mean, I don't know anybody out here really, but I know we get a. If I go to my reptile store, I see a bunch of praying mantises. I could probably get some babies if I wanted to and feed those off, but too expensive to
Right.
be feeding that shit off.
They're too expensive to be eating. That's the thing. Yeah, I do see mantises more often at a certain time of year. It seems like every year, there's a mantis boom. Everyone's selling the egg sacs and everyone's selling baby mantises, whatever. They're like $15 a mantis. Which is way too much for to be a feeder.
To feed.
Yeah. For snails, I'm actually not sure. I know there is one person here that is breeding a bunch of species of native snails. So I
Mm-hmm.
assume I could possibly try to feed them some snails, but I know he sells them as like not feeders. So he prices them a little bit higher to be
Higher, yeah.
sold as like
Well,
terrarium
I mean,
pets, not
well,
feeders.
you get a bunch of those, you breed them, and then you're good
Right.
to go.
And
You
then
know,
good to go. Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah.
because I know a lot of people will like find snails, but they'll like feed them a bunch of greens to help filter out whatever hell they ate, and
right.
then they'll feed them off. So
And then feed them off.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because the African land snails and all those other like popular pet snails are illegal
Mhm.
here.
Oh, okay.
So I know I can't get I mean, I could technically get my hands on some, but like not legally. Whereas I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
those native species, I think they're allowed to be kept. It's funny because with reptiles you can't keep any native species at all, but then you flip the bugs and suddenly the rules change and you can keep native species. So it is confusing, but um, I should try snails. That's actually a very good idea. I don't know if any of us have actually tried that.
Yeah, I would definitely try that out.
Yeah.
Also maybe even grasshoppers as well.
Almost impossible for us to get here.
Damn. Shit.
Our feeder selection, unfortunately, is a lot smaller than I think most of the world. So we can't get the locusts. And if anyone listening to this lives in Canada and knows where to get these things, and maybe I'm wrong, please let me know. But yeah, we can't get the locusts or the grasshoppers, any of those things. We can't get snails. The only species of roach we can use is discoids. Can't use the dubias. There's quite a few like feeder options I see like online from whether it's people in the US or people in the UK that we can't get
Man,
our hands
that's
on.
rough.
Yeah.
Man. Man. So what kind of supplements do you use for them?
Same as everything else. I will give them so calcium. I would say basically with every meal. Some types of worms that the calcium just doesn't stick to as well. So I've kind of like given
Yeah,
up
yeah.
on dusting them. But like every time they're getting crickets, they're getting calcium. And I would say because they don't use the UVB as much as other species, I will give them calcium with D3 more often than not.
Okay.
And that's basically mostly the only supplement I will give them. Every so often, once every 2 months or whatever, I will dust with either vitamin A. So I basically only use Repashy supplements, and I mean not for any other reason other than they're the easiest ones for me to get my hands on here.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a lot of other great uh, supplement companies or vitamin companies or whatever, but Repashy just seems to be the most available one around me. So I use mostly Repashy supplements. So they'll get the calcium plus most of the time, and then they'll get the vitamin A like once every 2 months, or the super vite, I think is what the other one's called, once every two
Okay.
months as well. And that's purely just me being like, well, you must need this too. Like you're not only getting one vitamin in the wild. So like it's trying to include other things in their diet, but I actually wish I had a better understanding of what they would exactly need as opposed, with dart frogs, they're quite like understanding of like, okay, you need to give them the vitamin A because that stops this and helps produce eggs or whatever it is that they have an understanding of what each vitamin or supplement does for the frogs. I don't think we have that as well figured out in lizards as they do in
No, 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 no.
frogs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are so far behind. It's crazy. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use a bunch of different ones now, but I'm slowly starting to like go off the Arcadia stuff just because it's hard to get. it is like reptile stores don't carry it. You know,
Yeah.
Amazon hardly carries it. Like I gotta go to like Reptile Basics, but it takes them like 3 weeks to ship me the stuff. I was like, I don't
Right.
want to wait 3 weeks. Like
Yeah.
we're in the world of Amazon where I could get it like today or tomorrow. Like, why do I need to wait for like 3 weeks to get
Three
something?
weeks.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's like, all right, what am I doing now? Like I'll get like I'm using like what's it? So let's see, everything with UV gets the Arcadia rotation of Earth Pro A, Calcium Pro, revitalized with that D3, and then things that are not getting UV, they get the was it like I said, the Rapashi, the Super Cow, the high D one.
Oh, okay.
Let's
Yeah,
see,
the high D. Yeah.
yeah, the ones that like give me like really hard calcified eggs, so they get the high D, and then like my Zabracus are like on a totally different one where I do what is it? They get the Zoomed multivitamin and then like the Zoomed calcium with D3 like once a week or something like that. So I'm literally going through like 3 or 4 different brands of like supplements right now, just for all kinds of different shit going on. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, hell, when
That's
I get these toad heads, same thing because I mean, they're gonna get blasted with UV, blasted with heat, so it'll probably be on the not Repashy, the Arcadia for a little bit until I decide to change it up. Like I said, like trying to get all my like that series of like the Earth Pro series on like Amazon is you can barely find it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like all
If
right.
if you could actually once we're done recording, if you could send me like a picture of your supplements, I'd like to see what. I don't think I've ever seen the Zoom Ed ones.
Oh shit, I can show you right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess you're in your reptile review. I don't think I've ever. I've heard of all the Arcadia ones. I've heard of Earth Pro. I've heard of the Arcadia ones, or I've seen them at least in stores. Don't think I've ever seen the Zoom Ed ones.
Yeah, because when I was talking to somebody about the Zabracus, they're like, "This is what I use. This is what you need to use," and it's just the Zoomed Reptivite,
I have seen that bottle. Okay, now, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then the Zoomed Calcium with D.
Okay, yeah, cool. Okay, I take it back. I have seen those in stores.
You know, I mean, like I said, I got those. I got the Repashy. I got regular Calcium Plus, and then I got the Calcium Plus High D. And I'll probably end up after my Arcadia is done. I'll probably just get the Calcium Plus with no D,
Yeah,
since they're all getting the UV, and I'll just have to get some other calcium to or whatever or no. I gotta read the label on the Calcium Plus stuff. See what all's in it. See what all I need to add to it to make sure it's nice and complete. Or feed my
yeah.
feeders something to make sure they're getting all that complete shit. Like hell, I mean, so with your feeders, like what do you like to feed them to make sure they're getting the rest of those vitamins that you think they're getting?
Yeah, so you're gonna laugh, but like I said, I use a lot of Repashy stuff. So I use mostly I feed the the crickets, the superworms, the discoids. I feed them mostly Repashy stuff. So they get a mix of like there is a the Repashy bug burger.
Got that?
They yeah, there's Repashy. Some of the they really take to the fish food.
Hmm.
So there's one called I think it's called Fry and Grow or something like that.
Okay,
They love that. I'll give them the morning wood, which is has a lot of spirulina in it.
got that too. I used to have
Yeah,
isopods. I don't know. I don't
there
have them
you
things
go.
anymore.
Yeah, I don't have any isopods anymore either, other than the ones in the enclosures, but I stopped
Yeah,
keeping the
that's
isopods.
about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's funny because just a quick side tangent. It's funny because they're probably one of the easiest things to keep, but
And I kill them.
going through all these bins and opening each bin and missing them and closing, go to the next bin, whatever, I found to be such a tiring task that I kind of slowly moved away from iSpots. But
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
trust me, I know the feeling.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, yeah. So that's mostly what my feeders get, and then I don't eat much vegetables, but when I do, they'll get odds and ends. Some lettuce here, some peppers here, some cucumbers here, whatever it is. But mostly their main diet is the main one is Bug Burger by Ripashi, and then I'll mix in some of the other Ripashis. And I breed dart frogs too, so I'll make the dart frogs Ripashi. I'll boil the morning wood or whatever it is and mix up. So, but what I've started to do is mix up 3 or 4 of those repashis and mix up a big amount of it. And all the tadpoles will get their cut, and then everything else just goes to the crickets, the roaches, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so a blend of all these different repashis, and I assume it works. I like they eat it all, which
Oh yeah. I
I've
mean,
always
they're
had the
eating it,
struggle
right?
of there exactly, which like in the past I've had the struggle of having crickets and putting down all these different foods and them not going to them. So like I remember like if I would put apples and potatoes, the crickets would eat them. If I put anything else, it's almost like just sat there and they wouldn't go near them. But the Repashi, without fail, that cube goes into the cricket bin, and within like 10 minutes, they're swarming it.
But yeah,
So
yeah. I
they're,
like I said,
they're
I put
attracted to
that.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, I put the bug. I'll put like bug burger in there because I got what is those isopod kit that ZooMed makes. I think. Um,
yeah, yeah.
I put that with some of the bug burger. Put that in there, and then sometimes I just like whip up some of the crescent gecko diet as well. They tear that up, you know.
Yeah, they'll take that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So put all that stuff in these cricket bins right behind me right here, and give it a day. Everything disappears. Cool. Feed them all off.
Feed them all
Like
off.
the
Yeah.
worst thing I do. Like, so what size like crickets do you use for them? Are you using larges or something, or medium?
I wonder if all the sizes are like kind of the same. I'll use the 3/4
Three
inch.
3/4? Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I hate them. I hate them. They die so quick.
I used to have this I'll send you a picture of my cricket bin afterwards. I for until like maybe a year ago, I could not keep crickets alive. Like it got to the point where every time I wanted to feed, I would go to the reptile store, grab crickets, come back, feed, and that's it. No crickets left. Like even if I had like 2 crickets left over, I'd be like, okay, you're getting these because I'm not keeping crickets because I always kill them. And then I can't remember where I got this idea from. It might even be I might have gotten this idea from Mike and Bree at the Jungle Vault, actually. Anyway, so it's a tub with screen on the sides, on both sides,
Mhm.
so you have the cross ventilation, walnut shells for the substrate, and then, obviously you have the cardboard and the egg crate and all of that. But I think the biggest thing was hydration, and I would always struggle with that. And I tried the cricket crystals, all these different things, and they wouldn't go well. Um, and now I'm using hamster or bird water, and it's
Okay.
flipped, and there's just a like a cotton shoved into it or like paper towel shoved into it to stop it from like leaking out.
Leaking out.
And
Yeah.
obviously the paper towel or the cotton or whatever gets wet, and they'll climb onto that and they'll drink it and not get soaked. And anyway, this is the only setup in over 10 years of reptile keeping. This is the only setup for crickets that's actually worked for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything else, I just end up killing the crickets. Yeah.
yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, like same thing with that stuff. Like, if I no, I have to go through the process of all right. Let me chop up all these veggies really fine, then soak them in water, and then take them out, and then I just put it on a plate and let them go after it. I mean, they'll last long enough, like for like the week and a half that I have them, or probably just a week that I have them. No, they'll stay there. But then if I don't do that consistently, if I'm like, no, I'm just gonna give them water crystals and this wet mixture of like crust gecko diet and bug burger and all that, they just die
They
off
die.
real quick.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, and I just hate going through all that. I'm like, man, it's like I don't eat veggies like that myself, so why the hell am I like? But it's cool. I mean, it's okay now because now I go like since I work at this new job. We get all these donations from these big time supermarkets, so I get a lot of produce now. So I just take the whole produce, get in the water, throw it in the bin. All right, cool. You guys are good. If you guys live,
Yeah.
you guys live. If not, you're not. Whatever. I'm just gonna go to the store. They're like, man, why don't you just go buy bulk now? Because I'm like, I probably should, but my girl's gonna kill me. Buying like 3,000 crickets for the price of 3,000 crickets is what I'm probably paying over at the reptile store for like 300.
300.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dude,
But I'm like,
I'm telling you, man, like 6 months ago, 7 months ago is when I made the switch to buying bulk. Now I will say, your girl will kill you. There will be crickets everywhere in the house.
everywhere.
It will
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
But
So
I
that's
am
why we got
saving a good
cats.
amount of money. Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
got cat, bro. You're good. You got
yeah.
cats. You're good. Yeah,
I
no,
mean, at my old place, yeah, at my old place, I caught a bunch of I got a bunch of these house geckos. I just let them roam around my apartment, and so whenever crickets got loose, snatch them up. So I didn't have to worry about it.
that's funny. I'm like, I didn't do this on purpose, but I have quite a few morning geckos living around the reptile room, just kind of, they just exist there, let's say. And yeah, they're probably catching geckos and some other things. Actually, another thing I wanted to throw in there because you mentioned feeding the crested gecko food to the crickets and whatever. I'll do that with the so I'll feed the crested geckos because I still have quite a few crested geckos. So I'll feed the crested geckos on like Monday, and then Wednesday I'll pull out the gecko food, and some geckos will finish the whole plate, some won't, whatever, blah blah
Hmm.
blah. But
And you throw them
all
in the
those
cricket bins.
cups, I don't do it in the cricket bins. I throw them straight in the roach bins, and within like a
Them
couple
too. Yeah,
hours, those
yeah.
cups are clean enough to reuse. Clean.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do it the same thing with like my super worms. I just throw all
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
little cups of diet in there. They're
Right.
good. No, super
They'll clean
worms
it for.
last forever. Yeah, man. Shit. Oh man. So with the eggs, like, so you have some incubating right now.
I do.
Yeah. So what are the temperatures that you're aiming for, and how long
Yeah.
have they been in there?
Let me quickly hold on. Let me quickly do the Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion. It's crazy, man. So they incubate for a very, very long time. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I was gonna say this number, but I just wanted to make sure. So they incubate for like a very so the last clutch that I got the one baby from, the incubation was about 7 months. Yeah. And I've heard some other mountain horn dragon keepers say that they incubated for a year, they incubated for 11, 12 months, over a year. So they incubate for a very, very long time. But the reason for that is I'm currently incubating them at 64, 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow. How the hell you doing that? A whole
Dude,
in the entire.
yeah, it's so I one of the mountain horn dragon guys uses, I believe, a wine cooler to achieve that.
Okay.
I'm lucky enough to where my unfinished, like all my reptiles are in my basement, and then I have a unfinished portion of the
Hmm.
basement, which is where like the furnace is and the water heater and blah blah, all that stuff is in there. And it stays it's concrete floor.
Oh, it's really cold then.
It gets cold. It gets very cold.
Yeah.
So like I don't I it, they're literally just sitting on the shelf in there, and it bounces from like 18, 19 degrees Celsius, which I think is like 64 to like, yeah, 64 66 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's cold and it'll take a long time, but I've
Damn.
also and I haven't experienced this myself, but some of the other mountain horn dragon keepers will say like if they incubate over 73, then the babies come out and usually will last a couple of weeks and die, or they
Wow.
come out with a lot of like kinks in the tail, or like kind of looking a little strange, or like essentially the problems start occurring over like 73 to 75 degrees Celsius. So the colder you
Okay.
can incubate them, the better. It does take a long time and it is very, very frustrating. But if we can get baby mountain horn dragons, it's worth it.
Right. Yeah. Definitely, it is, man.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, maybe they go through like a diapause or something. But you're like, no, they just 60 something degrees. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think
They
I could never do. Well, I mean, I could do that. Like I said, if I got a wine cooler,
wine cooler,
just
yeah.
set it to like yeah 60 something degrees, and you're good to go. Because I mean that is a long ass time. That's like you're starting to hit that chameleon territory.
It's crazy. You just have to like, and I feel like we talked about this on the Stenodactylus episode of like, I think you were saying, I can't remember which one of you was like, I'm always checking, and then the other one was he's like, I never look. I'm very much
Hmm.
like the impatient type of like, I'll open the incubator every like 10 days and check like, have the pictus hatched, have the stenos hatched, have all these like, with the mountain horn dragons, you just gotta put them and forget them because it will drive you crazy.
Set it and forget it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
me
been
right
like three
there.
months now, and I'm like, has the egg grown? Do they look bigger? Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
just gotta put them and forget them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's definitely me right there. Like I said, I like when it hatches. I put it on my calendar. All right, check on day this. Boom. So I'm not constantly up and down, up, down, up, down, looking at that
Yeah,
shit. Like
yeah,
I have I just have a few more eggs in there. Like I said I got a pair of Chihuahua eggs. I got one egg that looks good from my Blazodactylus, my Madagascar velvet geckos, and then I got like
that's cool.
two more Ciliaris eggs. Like my Ciliaris have given me, I think I have like 16, 17 babies right now. No, from one
That's
clutch
awesome.
or from one pair. They just they went
They're
wild this year.
going.
So I was like,
They're going. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, it's so
Awesome.
bad that I had to separate them. I was like, all right, you guys are done. No more for this season.
Enough.
Yeah, I was like, I got to figure out how I'm supposed to move you guys. I can't if I can't move these babies, you guys can't have no more babies. Shit. But
Yeah, that's you. You sound like you have a lot of really cool species. Yeah,
I
yeah. I would love to
have
see a
a
reptile
lot
roaster one
of
day, or come on the podcast and tell me about your geckos.
definitely. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I have a lot of more obscure stuff than common stuff. You know, like I said, I got a lot of Cerdaclys, which I just found out last week when I was talking to Kai on talking about Australia because he has
yeah.
Cerdaclys. I'm like, how do y'all have Cerdaclys in Australia? I was like, are these naturally there or are they invasive? It's like, no, these are naturally here. I'm like, holy shit!
I
Like
think
I
they would
didn't
have to
know
be
they.
naturally there for them to be able to keep them.
Yeah, yeah, that's my thing. Like, how do they like? Are they what like decaying toads or whatever that were brought there, and then next you know they start messing up all their fields and stuff like that. But it's like no, these are here naturally. I was like, damn, because I didn't know Cerdaclys spread it like that across no, because I know they're in Asia or no Southwest Asia, Southeast Asia, but I didn't know they spread all the way to Australia. That blew my
Yeah,
mind right there. Yeah, so I mean, I have Cerdaclys, I have Blazodactylus, I have Euryplatus. What else do I got? Stropharis. I think that's mainly no, yeah. I mean, I
and
got
chihuahuas.
Goniasaurus as well. Yeah, the Chihuahuas as well. No, I always tell people like Chihuahuas are not my passion. That is a way to fund my all my other stuff. Because people
Yeah,
love Chihuahuas, I love the other stuff. So they help me
yeah.
buy the other stuff. Because
I
I
get that. That's
actually,
why I keep getting geckos around.
yeah, and I was just hell.
And
I just talking to someone else right now. They're about to ship me some geckos out to today, so I'm going to have some Diplodactylus, the Galeatus, the little
nice. Yeah.
those little
Oh
tiny
yeah.
ones. Yeah,
That's a cool
because
species.
I'm slowly moving off a lot of the tropical stuff, and I'm going more arid. I mean, just because I mean it makes sense. I'm in Arizona. It's hot as all hell over here, so it's been a pain in the ass trying to keep a lot of these tropicals and then having good sheds and stuff like that. So I was like, well, let me just start moving off some of these. Like some of them I'm going to keep just for sentimental reasons. Like no people like, hey, I want to give you this because I feel like you can work with this, or as a give me as a gift or something. Like all right, so I'm gonna keep those things that I bought. They're going out the door if they're not aired. You know, that's
Yeah,
what
it
it
makes
is.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we close out, is there any good like I know you said you know you guys have your whole little group of or mountain dragon keepers. Now, is there any good resources for people to look up to if they want to start looking into maybe trying to work with these species?
Yeah. Um, I promise I'm not saying this because it's my podcast. I
Hey,
really
two birds,
wish,
one stone.
I guess, yeah, I really wish there was more information out there, and it's slowly happening. More and more people are starting to talk about them, and they are becoming a more kept species, and obviously, the more people keeping them, the more information we're going to get on them. But I would say, first of all, I have 4 episodes on mountain horn dragons. You will get a lot of really good information if you listen to all 4.
Nice.
Then there is a Facebook group called Mountain Horn Dragons. I should know this. I'm an admin. I don't even. Hold on, let me quickly look it up. Yeah, I know. Okay, Mountain Horn Dragon info, and I can send you the link if you want to like pop it somewhere as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm an admin, but I'm not very active on it. But all the other people that are on there are super knowledgeable. It's not one of those Facebook groups where like you're gonna get attacked if you ask a question. Everyone's super friendly, everyone's willing to help, everyone's looking to kind of. I think it's a small enough niche that it hasn't grown to where people are a little nasty in Facebook groups like in some of the other
Hmm.
sub niches of the hobby. But yeah, there's a lot of good information on there, and if you ask any question, it will be answered pretty quickly. And I think, like, I mean, obviously, just search on Google and read all the care guides, and there are a couple of care guides on there. But realistically, the better option to gain all this information is probably those episodes, and we will be making more episodes very soon. On we try to get together, once every like 4 or 5 months, and update everyone on the project, how it's going, that kind of stuff. So
Nice, nice.
there will be more Mountain Horn Dragon episodes coming out. But yeah, the podcast, Daffy's Roundtable. If you just put like Daffy's Roundtable, Mountain Horn Dragon, you'll get a list of them, and the Facebook group.
Okay, nice, nice.
Yeah, and I will say
Speaking of
they're
the
an awesome,
podcast,
awesome species.
plug that podcast, man. What is it
Yeah,
all
yeah,
about? Who do you got coming up next?
yeah.
I think I just listened to one you had about skinks.
I just did one about fire skinks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool episode. So the podcast is called Daffy's Roundtable. It's very similar concept, I think, what you're doing here, which is I think we're all just trying to put more, rarer, less common species on the map and share some information on them that you're only the people that are actually keeping them and doing work with them will have this kind of information, and it's just not available out there. So, every episode is on a different topic. Usually it's very species targeted or concept targeted. So, like, the fire skink one was the last one that just went out. The one before it was about high tech tanks and
Yeah, yeah,
intelligent
yeah.
automation and all that kind of stuff. And then the next one coming out is about, keeping turtles and keeping turtles outdoors. And then I have a conjure one coming out, which I'm kind of going down the snake path now, and
Trust
kind of
me, I just had what's it called? What's his name? God damn it, Brass Man, Jeremy. We
Jeremy.
did
Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. We did the Amazon tree boa.
Yeah,
I
I
was
have
like,
one sitting in the room with me right now. They're such a cool
nice,
species,
yeah,
man. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they're awesome.
I'm, I'm so close to
Do it.
convincing my girl.
Do
So
it.
close. Like
Do it.
right now,
Yeah.
she said yes to hogs. I was like, okay, we're in.
What about
I got my foot in. So now it's like, all right, now how much of this door can I open up? And I'm like, because I was like, I want something that's a live bearer, and I was like, I want a boa, but I want something that's I those ATBs. I love the colors on them. I love like that Carnage series that he has, that red with the white. Oh, that's all me, all me. I was like,
and
man,
there's so much variety too.
yeah, exactly. There's so many different colors, man. It's crazy. I'm not the morph guy, but if you give me a red snake or something that has red in it, I'm all for it.
You're in. You're all in. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I don't disagree. Yeah, man, and there's so many advantages to snake keeping too. Like we spend a good portion of this episode talking about feeders and feeding feeders and keeping feeders alive, and all of that goes out of the window when you move to snake keeping. Like I have a freezer in my
Yeah.
garage that's filled with rats, and those rats do not need to be fed or cleaned, or it's just,
They
pull them out,
frozen.
thaw 'em. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, yeah. So anyway, so yeah, jumping back, that's the podcast is called Daffy's Roundtable. Please check it out. We got a lot of cool episodes coming out, and hopefully Jason will pop in very soon as well, and we can find out
Sure.
more about what's
Yeah.
happening in his reptile room.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we could definitely do that. That's no problem right there. All right. So we're about to get up out of here. Like I said, no, this episode be probably dropped this week. Um,
Nice.
like probably like this Thursday or something like that. But other than that, like I told people before, we are now able to get monetized on Spotify. So $2.99 a month if you want the bonus content. Um, said this one won't be the bonus one, so next month I'll have a bonus one for you guys. So probably like once a month I'll have one bonus episode for you guys. So if you guys want to do it, cool. If not, you're gonna be missing out on some good info. I said I'm gonna start having a whole lot of different people on here, not just gecko, lizard. No, I'm starting to branch off the snakes. I'm gonna start branching off to other stuff. Because I mean, this reptile world is so big that we just can't stay into one lane. I was like, Let me get into
Facts.
all these different lanes. Let me dip my feet over here, dip my feet over there, and get some information out to the public. But other than that, when you guys listen to this, have a great morning, night, afternoon, evening, whenever you listen to this, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, Jason on the mic. Welcome to the spot. Breeding those reptiles, straight fire, straight hot. Geckos in the house, snakes twist and turn. Lizards on the prowl, see the passion burn. Breeders in the game, they putting in work. Red tail bows, see them go berserk. Leopard geckos shine like scales of gold. Hobbyists unite, let them stories be told. Putting in that work every day and night. Jason got the spotlight, keep it in tight. Reptile keepers rise, making impact. Breeding them beauties, never looking back. Cages all set, heat lamps in place. Monitor lizards, putting on a chase. From the boa constrictors to the chameleons green. Building up the hobby, live the reptile dream. Corn snakes slither, python stretch. Crested geckos leap, ain't no contest. Spotlighting the keepers, doing it right. Every enclosure clean, every feeding tight. Putting in that work every day and night. Jason got the spotlight, keeping it tight. Reptile